what I want to go through today is the business owner's morning formula. We're going to go deep into understanding what mindset you need to have in order to make this work. I want to walk you through the key difference between a successful morning formula and what is not. And lastly, if you stick around, I'm also going to give you direct access to our full 20-page morning formula document that we give our clients that gives you a full A to Z on what to focus on first, in what order, to make this fully successful. So where I want to start this today is really taking the time to go into understanding why I find the morning formula so helpful at a mindset level on how it's going to elevate not just your health, but your success in business, family, and so much else. Because it all comes back down to the concept of balancing out our action goals with our outcome goals. And, I was the kid who watched the Olympics on TV and then really loved seeing these people on stage, got really, really motivated, and then tried a new thing, right? And I did the same thing recently with watching The Last Dance with Michael Jordan going through his basketball career, right? We watched the whole series. We got really motivated. We got really into basketball. And we went out and bought a basketball, right? And we played 1, maybe 2 games, and then it went to the garage and it's probably sitting in the back somewhere and we haven't used it since. That's a classic example of having an outcome goal that we glorify how things feel amazing, but we never actually took the time to solidify what that looked like on a day-to-day basis. I have no interest in doing hours of shooting hoops a day, dribbling, doing all the stuff to get ready to be anywhere near that level of effective and professional right in that space, because I glorified the outcome. I wasn't so good with the action goals. Now, why that morning formula is so helpful, whether you're wanting to be more productive, more energetic, more healthy in general, just less reactive in your day. As a business owner, the morning formula is such a great way to start to rebalance out your action goals with your outcome goals, right? When we start to look at that first hour of the day, it gives us a very clear space to be able to make the changes that set up the rest of our day. And you'll see that, that power hour, if we take the time to really own that first hour of the day, the rest of the day is so much easier to really move through from there. If we can lean into some level of challenge, focus, clarity, fuel to really set that day up, whatever that first anchor is for you, and I'll tell you what I mean by that in a second, it allows us to really move into a morning formula routine that really sets up the rest of our day. So when we look at this, the biggest thing with a morning formula is how do we fit you back in your day? And this is why doing it first thing in the morning is the easiest place to start typically, because as the day goes on, there's more and more variables that we have to tackle. And I'm going through this right now, moving my workout from first thing in the morning to doing it more in the afternoon as I'm starting to adjust my goals and targets for January and February. And I'm doing more reflective work, more writing, more walking in the morning, and trying to do the workout later on. It's much easier to get the walk in at the moment, and it's much harder to get the afternoon workout in, because there's more variables to battle when you get to 2 o'clock or to 5 o'clock to get your workout in. So by focusing on that first period of the day, it allows us to intentionally start the day with us, right? When we start to look at it through the lens of how do I want to feel, that changes the entire game. If you truly want to be successful in any area, you want to improve your relationships, you want to build your business, you want to improve your health, we have to start with the process required to achieve the goal, right? Rather than just glorifying the goal. You don't drop body fat by visualizing it and standing on the scales, right? There are actions that are required in the day to feel better, to look better, to allow your body to function better. If you want your business to grow, it's not going to be a case of what does that business look like $1 million or $10 million, right? It's going to be a case of, well, what skills do I need to acquire to get better? And then what do I need to implement on a day-to-day basis to make that happen? If you want to improve your relationship, right? We had this conversation with our clients the other day. We went deep into a full relationship chat and what that looks like as we evolve over time. The grass is greener where you water it. So looking at what are you implementing on a daily or a weekly schedule in order to feel like you're connected with your partner, you're communicating with your partner along the way, so you feel like you're on an aligned mission rather than two people, being kind of flatmates in the same house, right? We need to have those conversations regularly. So all 3 of these things require work. But if we're focusing on how it makes us feel on a day-to-day basis, meaning there's a certain amount of habits or action drivers that make today successful, we're able to easily measure those and they compound over time, right? If we just focus on the goal, we have no measurement of if we're getting closer. If we focus on the actions required, we can build towards that as well, right? So looking at it through the lens of action goals versus outcome goals is the first area to focus on. The second one, to make sure you're successful overall in hitting those goals, is making sure that we get very clear and where the motivation is coming from, which ties into it beautifully. But rather than the goal being external as that outcome, we are focusing on some sort of internal driver. And the reason I want to double down on this is because after working with so many clients, we understand the difference between an emotional goal and a logical goal. When we focus on a logical goal, we logically talk ourselves into it, and we can logically talk ourselves out of it, right? It might be our partner giving us a nudge in the gut. It might be our doctor saying things need to change. It might be that our BMI is a little high and we finally think that we should change it, right? But when we attach it to some emotional adjustment where I'm going to be able to keep up with my mates on the mountain bike, I'm going to be able to be around for my kids, I'm going to be making sure I'm not standing on the sideline, I can actually get involved. I don't feel like my body's holding me back when my mind wants to do it, right? When we tie it to the actual emotional aspect of how we feel, you'll naturally see what sort of actions or what feelings actually come along with that. Now, when you anchor that driver, we can now focus on what the goal really is. We see this all the time in improving the goal in order to actually hit the outcome. If your goal is to run every day, we may hit it, but you'll notice you've got sore joints, you feel unmotivated, and you eventually stop running. If you're choosing the goal truly because you want to improve your energy, you want to feel good in clothes, you want to feel confident on a day-to-day basis, make that the goal, make that the anchor, right? And when we make that, we start to get an idea of we can anchor in the outcome, we can be flexible in the approach. Rather than running being our vehicle to get there, we might look at weight training, we might look at looking at our nutrition, we might look at these other ways of getting our body healthy and fit in order to achieve the outcome. And with a morning routine, we can do that because a morning routine is not just having to do a cold shower, right? It's a morning walk, it's a workout, it's how we fuel the body, it's taking some space to think or to not think, right? To take the time to set up that morning for us to win the day. When we do it in that way, we start to look at it through a very different lens, and it's exactly why I enjoy this conversation of a morning routine as being an incredible first habit or anchor to improving how you approach a better, healthier life. So what I want to go through very quickly is giving you access to the Modern Business Owners Morning Formula Checklist and really breaking this down. If you want access to this full checklist, simply comment Morning Formula below and we will shoot this right through. Like I said, this is a full 20-page document. We're going to go through your habits. We're going to go through options that you can look at. We're going to look at your breakfast, what that's looking like. We're going to go through, of course, the meditation and breathing. We're going to go through what decision fatigue is and how we can clarify that morning. And then there's a full checklist on how to make sure that habits actually happen and what steps to really start with. So if you want access to that, simply comment morning checklist, morning formula below, and we will send that one through. It's an incredible place to start when we're taking the time to improve our health for the right reasons. If you want to show up as a more energetic, more productive, more effective human in your day-to-day interactions, being able to intentionally be less reactive by fitting you in first is something that we continually see as a successful and effective strategy. And I think it's a really great place to start. So if you want to refine this, you want to build this a little bit further, simply comment that morning formula below. We will send it through. I hope you're having an incredible week. You're finishing off this year strong, and I will see you again next week. Have a good one, team. Bye.